A few weeks ago was the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, and of course, you know me, I was there soaking up every second of it, and ever since then, I've wanted to make a video on it. But for the longest time, I didn't really know what to say. I mean, this movie's been out for 20 years. Every movie critic has thrown in their 2 cents. We're to the point where I can say anything I want about this movie, and it's probably already been said by someone else. You can't just review Star Wars. This isn't even a movie anymore. Revenge of the Sith has transcended regular film status. This is an experience, it's a feeling, and that's what I wanted to focus on. Going back all these years and revisiting this movie on the big screen, you realize that a lot of big blockbusters coming out today, compared to this, just aren't that good. I miss cinema. I miss Star Wars.
Hello there.
I was sitting there in the theater watching magic happen on the screen, and you know that Nicole Kidman AMC intro? We come to this place for magic. That's what this movie is. It's magic. Now, I go to the movies a lot, to my own dismay, and this is the first time that stupid intro has ever resonated with me. Now, I've seen Revenge of the Sith probably 100 times. If you go to my letterbox, you're gonna see it pop up every few months. And somehow, I'm there in the theater still picking up on little stuff that I've never noticed before. George Lucas, for all his flaws, is a man with vision. Now, by no means am I a George Lucas absolutist. I don't solely swear by anything and everything he's touched, or by extension, Dave Filoni. I appreciate George Lucas for all that he's done. I appreciate him for creating my childhood, but I am not so close-minded that I cannot fathom Disney making good Star Wars. When people say things like, "This isn't what George Lucas had in mind. This is antithetical to what George Lucas created." When they say things like that when they're talking about Andor or anything really coming out after the Disney takeover, all I can do is laugh. It baffles me how someone can be so close-minded without even giving it a chance. Yes, Disney has made bad Star Wars, but so has George Lucas. The first 2 prequels are very close to unwatchable, and I will still revisit them again and again, but to say they are good films is nothing short of George Lucas glaze. Lest we forget that people hated the prequels when they were first coming out. I'd argue that the worst Star Wars Disney has ever made are the projects that are trying to ride the high of the George Lucas era. For example, Kenobi, I think, is a terrible show. I really don't like Ahsoka, and the same with the Book of Boba Fett show. Even towards the end of The Mandalorian, you can consider that as well. Fan service can't hold a show on its own, and that's what happens when Disney tries to appease the quote-unquote real Star Wars fans. We get these lackluster shows jam-packed with fan service that these George Lucas shills praise because it fits into their little box of what Star Wars is. I'll go a step further. Disney Star Wars is at its best when it's doing something on its own. When these projects don't have fan service to stand on, it forces the creators to actually try. And that's why we have stuff like Andor and Rogue One, which is probably the best Star Wars that's come out of Disney ever. This is actual Star Wars, not fan servicey nonsense. And this stems back to when George Lucas still had control. The Star Wars fandom as a whole is really a testament to George Lucas as a visionary. The fact that he was so good at building such an immersive world that he's got loyalist freaks coming up to bat in his name is just crazy. His level of direction created one of the most toxic fan bases in the world. It's poetic in a way. This man built Star Wars, this vast universe with endless storytelling potential, and closing off anything that challenges what he created and shaming it is why people hate this fandom. You guys are embarrassing. I don't even want to get into the whole Blandor is woke garbage. I'll save that for the Andor video. This is a perfect film. Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie ever made, hands down. The goofy dialogue, the over-the-top soap opera acting, the commitment to the universe. Every single element from good to bad makes this perfect. I want to talk about how the characters speak, because I think that's the largest thing keeping up the immersion. Everyone speaks like they're in a play. What I mean by that is that they overact. Everyone does it. Everyone is on 11, but they speak proper. It's all high class. This little cutout of the Star Wars universe we're actually seeing is all wealthy, ultra upper class individuals. It is what solidifies this environment. Everyone acts this sort of very serious, very stuck up way, but it works. That's what immerses you, because no one is acting like they do on Earth. No one is giving you a familiar performance. It's all otherworldly. You put your life on pause and you enter this one, a tale of a groomer and a groomie. Anakin doesn't want to enjoy the dark side. He knows it's wrong. He will do anything to save his wife. He gets his head all twisted, and eventually it leads to him releasing all that anger and almost killing Padme. It's a beautiful story. It's a tragedy is what it is, but it's so well crafted, and the dialogue may not be the best, but it doesn't matter. Do you not feel this? The parallels of Padme dying and Anakin being reborn as Darth Vader in the suit is just so perfect. Her life for this new one. Out of all of the movies, Revenge of the Sith has the most writing on it. Not only does this have to satisfy the prequel trilogy, but it's the final puzzle of the Skywalker saga, the climax of Anakin's story and his fall to the dark side. We know how it's going to end, we just have to see it now. And this may be the nostalgia talking, but I don't think it is. I've never really been able to put into words why this movie is so amazing. I've always taken it for granted. I wouldn't explain why this is great because I really couldn't. You would ask me, is it good? I'd say yeah. You'd say why? I'd say come on, because it is. If you think Star Wars, especially if you're my age, this is the movie that comes to mind. There's something so comforting about watching a film and knowing everything that's coming. I'm to the point where it's a beautiful Sunday morning. All I want to do is just go watch Star Wars. George Lucas is a man with drive. He's certainly not the best writer in the world, but that doesn't matter. A decade later, these poor lines that he made these actors speak out into existence are just considered charm now. And you look at the Star Wars we're getting today, a lot of these projects have multiple directors. There's no vision. They're playing it too safe. It's gotten to the point where I'll take George Lucas cringy writing over what we're getting because I don't really care about any of this. Everything is just content now, and that's who Disney is. You can't fault them for that. But it's not what Star Wars was. And I hope I don't sound like a George Lucas fanboy cuck, but Star Wars is only good when it's one guy doing what he wants. This entire movie, from beginning to end, is just one intense space opera. It has the drama. It has the passion. It just gets better the more you watch it. It feels like one large crescendo from beginning to end. This is cinema at its finest, and I've always loved Star Wars, but this just reminds me how good Star Wars used to be. It sucks that people can't make terribly written movies anymore because it has to go through a whole board. It has to go through X, Y, and Z. People can't really express themselves like George Lucas could. This man can't write for shit, but he knows how to direct. I like a flawed director because it feels like it's a person making the movie. It's a team of creatives building a world, not a soulless, profit-hungry organization. When I walked into that theater, I was surrounded by people that I didn't know, but I knew that we were all sharing a similar experience. All of us were escaping into this world for one reason or another, and it doesn't help that this movie still holds up to this day, visually I should say. The effects, fantastic. It actually looks better than some of the movies and some of the Star Wars that's come out today, and whose fault is that? It's Disney's fault. I remember as a kid, I think I was like maybe 9 or 10. I was turning 10. It was my birthday. But I remember the party we had was at Bounty U. And vividly, I remember my birthday wish. Everyone was sat around the table. I had the cake in front of me. I had the hat on. And I had my hands together like I was praying. And I look at the candles. But in my head, I was asking a question. I closed my eyes and I asked, is Star Wars real? And then I blew out my candles. Like, who does that? As a kid watching Star Wars, all I wanted was for this to be real, just because it was so cool. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life, for the sole reason that it makes me feel like a kid again. It makes me feel like nothing matters. I have no responsibilities. I get to escape. For 2 hours, I'm somewhere else. I'm with them. And if for some reason you haven't seen this movie, if you don't even know what Star Wars is, but you're watching this video, all I can say is just go and watch this. But don't start with this one. Go watch The Phantom Menace. You might have to struggle through that one. I'll be honest, it's not great. Then you might have to struggle through the second one, Attack of the Clones. That one's not that great either. But then it pays off when you're treated to one of the best Star Wars movies ever made, Revenge of the Sith. And then you can watch the originals. I love Star Wars, but I miss cinema.